Has the God Comp finally been dethroned? Spoiler alert, no it hasn't. And what about Mythic Plus? Is Blizzard making these dungeons harder for Season 3? Kind of. Either way, in this video, we'll be going over both of these questions in greater detail. So if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more stuff like this in the future. Alright, so let's talk about our first story about the Augmentation Evoker nerfs. So in the developer note here, Blizzard said that Augmentation's contribution to the party, particularly in Mythic Plus, are just too impactful, and it's making it difficult for other compositions to shine. As a result, we're doing some targeted nerfs to their group utility by reducing the value of Aspect's Favor, Molten Blood, and Ebb and Might. So Aspect's Favor increases the maximum health by 2 and 4%, and originally it was 3 and 6%. So basically, Aspect's Favor is kind of like a mini rallying cry, so this nerf to the percentage is going to be a little bit less impactful and one of the more lesser reasons why people are going to be bringing them to the group. And for me personally, just giving them a rallying cry on such a short cooldown is just bonkers to me, so I'm glad that this is definitely getting a nerf. Next up we have Molten Blood's absorption being reduced by 50%, and they said that here it's going to be remaining unchanged for PvP. So basically this is mainly used on the tank, which is going to be giving them a huge absorption shield, so having it reduced by 50% is actually pretty impactful. But I do think that it's not going to be impactful enough, which is something that I will elaborate a little bit later. Then we've got the Ebb and Might, which is going to be granting 8% of the Evoker's primary stat, down from 10%. So I think Ebb and Might is kind of like the main ability that Augmentation Evokers use to buff their whole party. So instead of giving 4 of your nearest party members a 10% boost for your primary stat, it's going to only give them about 8%. And then they also state here that the above changes are going to be applied over the course of the PTR via a hotfix. So on paper, these changes or these nerfs look pretty good, right? They're basically nerfing Augmentation to, kind of persuade people to not try to pick them in every single group comp now. However, I wasn't really sure because, again, I'm not someone who mains an Augmentation Evoker, nor am I someone who's pushing super high keys. So I wanted to do some research and kind of see what other people are thinking about this, especially people that main Augmentation Evoker. And from what I've gathered, it looks like these nerfs actually are not really going to be that big of a deal. Because at the end of the day, with the Aspect's Favor, you're still getting a mini rallying cry, even though the numbers are nerfed a little bit, you're still getting it, right? Same thing with Ebb and Might. And the fact that Augmentation Evoker damage is so high, these changes are just not strong enough, in my opinion. They still have a ton of utility, and they're still going to be a pretty impactful role in the meta going forward with Season 3. That is, unless Blizzard decides to put out some more nerfs. I think what Blizzard's doing right now is they're kind of just slowly increasing the percentage of nerfs to kind of, see what players think. So definitely these nerfs are not good enough. I think if it were up to me, I would at least start out with nerfing Aspect's Favor down to 1 and 2%, nerfing the Molten Blood Absorb to only about 25% of his shield, and then also dropping Ebb and Might only to about 3%. And trust me, I definitely understand that this is a very delicate kind of situation, because obviously the whole idea of Augmentation Evokers is, like a bard type class, bring someone for their utility and, the ability to buff their teammates instead of just a third DPS. And I know it's going to be a really hard road for Blizzard to, get the tuning right. But I think right now as it stands, they definitely need to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to the nerfs for this spec. And for our last story real quick, I just wanted to talk about the nerfs, or I guess adjustments they're making for the Mythic Plus dungeon pool for Season 3. The big thing here is that it looks like the health of all the creatures is going to be getting just flat out increased by 14%. And then also the damage of all the creatures and abilities is being increased by 13.46%. And aside from that, it looks like there's just a ton of different changes and just adjustments to certain abilities for, random mobs and all of these different dungeons. And at face value, it looks like they're just trying to make the dungeons harder, right? But I did notice that the item level inflation for Season 3 is actually going up pretty high. So I feel like the fact that they're kind of increasing the difficulty of the dungeons by a little bit is kind of on par, and I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. But for me personally, that is just kind of my gut reaction. I personally have not actually had any time to test these dungeons on the PTR yet. However, I am looking at the comment section for these notes on Wowhead, and it looks like there's a lot of people that are saying that the dungeons currently are just massively overtuned. So until Blizzard gets that addressed, then, you know, we might be in for a rough season, guys. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. Let me know in the comments section what your guys' opinions are on this matter. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'm still Solo, and I'll see you guys in the next one.